Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's talk. I will just pause a moment to let everybody filter in. If you would like to write in the chat box today where you're joining us from in the world, that would be really, really incredible to see how far and wide this talk has reached. Chicago, hello. Ukraine, hello. Wow, lots of places. London, hello, welcome. Bordeaux, Paris. Oh, you're making me nervous. Okay, we're going to get started. So welcome, everybody. My name is Sophie, and I am a member of the online classroom team here at WSET. You have joined us today for a conversation about innovations in no and low alcohol wine. So welcome to our live webinar. WSET stands for Wine and Spirit Education Trust, and it is the world's leading provider of qualifications and courses in wines, spirits, beer, and sake. WSET has over 50 years of experience in designing and delivering education to both wine professionals and consumer enthusiasts all over the world. You can take one of our WSET qualifications in over 70 countries through a network of over 800 course providers worldwide. If you are interested in finding out more about our qualifications and embarking on your educational journey, please visit our website, wsetglobal.com, to find your nearest course provider. Moving into today's talk, this is part of an annual series looking at trends and impact in the global drinks industry. But today, we are learning about innovations in no and low alcohol wine. Just a few notes from me before the talk starts. This session is being recorded and will be available to watch on our WSET Global Events Hub on our YouTube channel. It is also live streaming today now, talking to you. Please can you post your questions into the Q&A box of this talk today, and what we'll do is towards the end of the talk we'll open the floor up to Q&A questions and we'll go through that box and ask as many as we can. Now, to introduce your speaker, we have the lovely Irem Eren. She has vast international experience in both Europe and America and a really multidisciplinary background. She is a chemist, holding a master's in international business and marketing, along with the WSE diploma in wines, and is currently studying for the Master of Wine qualification. Before her journey into low and no alcohol wines, Irem had a versatile and wide range of positions in the industry, from production and sales to business development and marketing, through to wine buying at leading wine producers. She is currently the Business Development Director at BevZero and a no and low alcohol category ambassador. She is an educator and editor for WSET and a judge at several wine competitions. She was also awarded the Emerging Talent in Wine Award by IWSC in 2022. So, without further ado, welcome Irem, and I'll pass over to you to start your talk. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much, Sophie, for the excellent introduction and WSET team. I am thrilled to be here as a WSET diploma holder, to be with you, with the students, with the fellow alumni, and wine lovers, and anyone who's interested in know and low. So before I'll go into my presentation, I would like to give you a few notes about BevZero, so that you can understand why exactly I am doing this webinar today. I work as a business development and sales director of BevZero, as Sophie was mentioning, and BevZero is a global company started in 1995 in California. Our headquarters is in California. We have facilities in Spain and in South Africa. And we give service globally in the no and low alcohol world with de-alcoholization, alcohol adjustment, and also finished product and aroma and alcohol developments. We also sell equipment. So as you may see, I'm involved with a company who has experience for about 30 years in the industry and non-stop doing R&D. So that's why today I would like to take you through the no and low world. And then we will be exploring this area in four different segments. I will try to keep my presentation for about 40 minutes. So more or less in each segment, we will go into detail for about 10 minutes. And then I would like to leave for about 15 minutes for the Q&A. We will start with the market and consumer demand, understanding why actually we are here today and why this is a very hot topic. We had almost 500 registrations, and I see that now at the moment we are 210 people attending this talk. So it means that this is very important, and it's not a fad, it is not a trend, it is going to stay here, and it's a category. And then when we talk about category, what do I mean? What is the definitions and legislations in the no and low alcohol world? We're going to see that briefly, and then we're going to focus on the production and technology and the innovations available today. But I won't go into very technical that part. In case if there's any questions and if you're interested in knowing more about the technical aspects, please write your questions in the Q&A box, and then I will cover that. I will try to cover that in the Q&A. And then opportunities for wine industry, what is the future, where we are going. So before going into the future, let's see what is today's situation and what is the market and consumer demand. So there is actually not much need to say that wine industry today is going through difficult times. Why wine industry going through difficult times? For several reasons. One of them is global warming. As we know, global warming is impacting our lives significantly. But in terms of wine industry, it is affecting us with the rising levels of alcohol. So if you can see here, we have a little information about between 90s, since 90s and to 2019, the increase in the alcohol levels. So in several different regions, as we see here, Burgundy, Bordeaux, Tuscany, Piemonte, California, we are talking about minimum 1.5% of alcohol increase average. And then what happens when the alcohol increases? Obviously, we have the acidity decreasing and the pH levels are increasing as well. And this is a problem because at the consumer trends at the moment, the consumer demand, there is a demand towards lower alcohol. So we are having a very difficult time have increased alcohols, and also as we all know, the red wine consumption is decreasing year after year, and consumers are choosing more fresher products. And also, on the other hand, we see changing consumer behaviors. We are in January, dry January. We're talking about dry January, but today it's not only all about dry January. When the category started actually 10 years ago, yes, dry January was an important period for moderation in the consumption. But at the moment, dry January is not as significant as it was before. Normally in BevZero globally, our busiest period is either before summer or November, December, because all the producers were trying to produce their products for dry January during November and December. But this year, for the first time ever, January is busier than the other months. And it's not for dry January anymore, it is for the upcoming months. And we are having the busiest January in our history. So what happens? We are talking about now dry July. It's very popular in Australia. And we're talking about Stop October or Sober October. And then now we're talking also about damp January. So this means it is not only about abstaining from alcohol, it is about moderation. And damp January is you don't abstain from the alcohol throughout the entire month, but then you control your drinking, you're moderated, but in special occasions, you still consume alcohol. And last but not least, lately we have another trend. Looking at this picture, do you have an idea what this can be about, or let me just tell you, and then if you know what this is about, please write in the chat box. This is zebra striping. I'm trying to see the chat. Okay, yeah, zebra striping. I see that Eric wrote zebra striping, Christina as well. And do we know what zebra striping is? No alcohol cocktails. Anyone else? Drink some days, not others, every other day. Yes, exactly. Drink some days, not others, every other day. But it's not only about different alternation of the days in at the same moment of consumption, drinking non-alcohol and also alcoholic version at the same time of occasion. So we are going through very different changing consumer behaviors. And then what happens in the end, this gives us a decline in the consumption results. So if you can pay attention to this graphic, this is from OIV, International Organization of Wine and Vineyards. And as you can see, since 70s, the wine consumption is always less than wine production. The blue line is the consumption and the red line is the production. But since last 15 years, there's a significant gap in between. And we are seeing a 7% decrease in the wine consumption since last 15 years. So, and also last but not, sorry, two more reasons that we are going through difficult times is the alcohol duty. As you know, in the UK, last year, August 1st, the alcohol regulations changed, and there's increased duty according to the increased level of alcohols. And as of February 1st, it is getting more aggressive, and there's a 5-year plan with that. So basically, it is this for the same level of alcohol. Now the producers or importers, they're paying more and more taxes. So that's why we are also seeing a huge demand about alcohol adjustment. Producers trying to lower their alcohol degree 1 or 2 degrees, especially in Europe, because it is allowed to do up to 2 degrees and maximum 20% of the original alcohol. So this is an increasing trend, and also this triggers not only non-alcoholic drinks, but also low alcohol. There's a huge potential, especially for UK market with low alcohol drinks. And last but least, World Health Organization's take on the alcohol. Again, this has been depending on different times, different periods. We've seen that wine, there was moments that wine was very healthy for you, and then the World Health Organization was also suggesting and moderate consumption of wine. But at the moment, they are saying that there's no safe level of alcohol consumption, and the risk of cancers increases with the even low levels of alcohol consumption. We are not here today to discuss this, and not sure if there's even enough scientific evidence for that. But however, this is the situation now, and this is affecting the consumer behaviors very dramatically. So that's why at the moment today we are talking about an increasing category. According to IWSR's 2022 data, no and low alcohol category is $11 billion, and the expectations that it will reach to $24 billion by 2032. And we are expecting to see 9% increase in the car only in the low and no alcohol wine category. And as we just told before, there's 7% decrease in the wine consumption in the last 15 years. But on the other hand, as these categories increasing, the consumers of this category, they're not abstainers. 76% of the global consumers, they consume alcohol. And in the US, 84% of these consumers, they consume alcohol. So it is also an opportunity to attract new consumers, newer audiences, starting with no and low alcohol wines, and then finding their way through into the traditional, let's per se, wine category. So let's look at the key markets. When we talk about global data, normally we focus on 10 markets, and they are not in the order of the rising, the volume, but in the alphabetical order: Australia, Brazil, Canada, France, Germany, Japan, South Africa, Spain, UK, and US. They are very important markets in this category. And also lately, the Nordics, Finland, Sweden, Norway, they are having more and more importance because, as you know, it is the alcohol, the wine and alcohol trade is controlled by the monopolies in those countries, and there are more and more tenders about no and low alcohol beverages. So let's see who the consumers or how the consumer behaviors change. Again, when the category started 10 years ago, these products were seen as a sacrifice for various reasons, for health reasons, religion, or for pregnancy or designated drivers. Then they were abstaining from alcohol. But now this category is only 17%. According to the IWSR, 17% is the abstainers. They're not drinking any alcohol, but 20% is blenders. So in the same occasion, either drinking non-alcohol or low alcohol or normal strength alcohol. So it is like a little bit zebra striping. 21% of the consumers are trialers. Once or twice in their life they tried it, and it's driven by the curiosity. And the biggest category is biggest subcategory of the consumers is 43% substitutes, meaning depending on the occasions, they either prefer non-alcoholic, low alcohol drinks or alcoholic drinks. And this is also telling us that the consumption is very occasion based. It is not strictly for the beverage types anymore, but it is the occasion types. And this category has been driven by Gen Z, but it is not only Gen Z drinking or consuming these products, but from baby boomers, Gen X to millennials, across different generations, these products are being consumed. And then what the consumers are looking for, they're looking for more natural products. And it's not only zero alcohol or low alcohol, but they're looking for low sugar levels, as less as possible additives, less calories, and also obviously sustainability is very important, and zero waste. And this, at the moment, these categories driven by brands. There are so many small brands who are coming into the space with the innovative brands, and there's different formats: single serves or big or regular formats or bag in boxes, different price points, entry level and from entry to premium. And we see that availability is very important. There's more and more availability across different channels, off trade, on trade, and e-commerce. So when we are talking about no and low alcohol, generally, yes, we know that there's a demand, but exactly what do we mean when we say no and low alcohol? At the moment, it is a little bit of like a wild west of the world, and it's like there's so many definitions. The reason to that, we don't have global legislations at the moment. Each country and each region has different legislations. And also, as this space is driven or dominated by brands, brands also use their preferred definitions. We see no, free, zero, low, light, reduced, so many descriptions on the labels. And the regulatory remit varies depending on the different geographical regions. If we are talking about European Union follows the OIV legislations, and OIV legislations at the moment doesn't recognize no alcohol, alcohol-free or low alcohol, but they recognize dealcoholized wine or beverage obtained by dealcoholized wine. So to be able to call a beverage wine, it needs to be minimum 8.5% alcohol. There are different regions with different exceptions, but whatever below 8.5, it's not called wine. But if the beverage wine undergone exclusively of the dealcoholization treatment, and if only the ingredients which are allowed in winemaking is used, then we recognize this as dealcoholized wine or beverage obtained by the alkalized wine. If it is between 0.5 and 8.5, then we are talking about partial dealcoholization, partial dealcoholized wine. If we just go back for a second, in Europe, when we say dealcoholized wine, it can be up to 0.5. But if we say alcohol free, then for example in UK, it needs to be 0.05. Same in US and Canada. If we are talking about dry markets, meaning halal markets, then this number is even less. It needs to be 0.02. But if you're in Japan, then up to 1% can be alcohol, dealcoholized or alcohol, no alcohol product. So again, this is there is a huge vague area, especially with the low alcohol products, because there's a huge gap between 0.5 and 8.5. Low for me is different for someone else, some consumer base in UK, Spain, or US. And in US, there's a big drive with the low alcohol products, which we call like lifestyle products. And there, when we say low alcohol, we mean more 5-6%. So what we need is global legislations or regulations in the space to be able to confuse the consumer less, and also confuse the wine industry less as well. And another confusion is the production and technology, obviously, because the production is not really at the moment. The winemakers, very experienced and great winemakers, they don't have enough experience in the dealcoholization, because at the moment we don't see this as it is taught in the universities, winemaking schools. But I'm very happy to say that WSET included Noel Law in the diploma syllabus, and I had the privilege and pleasure to edit the content. So I think it's already available with the new material with this year. So this also shows that there is a change. As well as there's more demand, we are going to have more education about that. So before going into how we make the production, I just want to quickly focus on this slide. As we can see here, there is 00 Guinness. If you haven't tasted it yet, please do so. It's fantastic. And then we are having a gin 00 Tanqueray and a wine, the alkalized wine beverage by celebrity beverage by Kylie Minogue. So here what we can see is there is a big difference between wine, beer, and spirits in terms of their approach. Wine category at the moment is still driven by small brands. And then the big players, they are getting into the space recently, and they're being more hesitant. But in the spirits and the beer, which there's more, how would I say that word? Consolidation, and the big players are into the game, and they're not really afraid of launching their zero or low alcohol version with their own brands. And also they're not really discussing about how we call this product. Is it really a gin, dealcoholized gin, or alcohol-free gin? But in wine industry, we are having more focus in this type of legislations. But on the other hand, another obstacle in the wine industry or wine sector is the production. At the moment, the beers, I get so many questions about from consumers. They're saying that beer is doing a great job with 00. Why wine cannot do it yet? There are a few easy answers. Although we see Guinness here, most of the beers in the market, they're lagers and pilsners, and they have around 4.55% alcohol to start with. Guinness as well. So we are reducing 4-5% of the structure, removing the alcohol. But with wine, especially with the global warming, we are talking about minimum 13% or 12% alcohol levels. So it's a huge loss in the structure. And beer is also carbonated, so it kind of makes up the loss of the alcohol. that's why in the wine space at the moment, what we see is the best sellers are dealcoholized sparkling wines, because that carbonation also adds up with the loss structure from alcohol. If you look at the spirits, 95% of the spirits available today, if not all of them, they're not dealcoholized, they're formulated products based on a liquid. The liquid can be water-based or it can be a dealcoholized wine-based, and they are also designed to be used with mixers. So if you smell the Tanqueray 00, it will exactly smell like a gin. All the juniper berries will pop up on your face, but when you taste it, you will not get the same experience. But when you mix it with the tonic, then you may get the same experience as a gin and tonic. But wine is not designed to be used with mixers, so it is a more difficult aspect in wine to kind of get to the perfect level. But there is a lot of improvement in the production as well. So how do we make the dealcoholized wine? To make the dealcoholized wine, unlike spirits or beer, which can be formulated, in the wine, non-alcoholic wine, we need to have the wine first, because what happens is during the fermentation, the alcoholic fermentation, all the wine aromas and the flavors, they form during the alcohol fermentation with the chemical reactions, because in the grapes we have the sugars, but also we have the aroma precursors. If we only use a grape juice to create a non-alcoholic beverage, then we only have the grape aromas. But then if you make the wine, we will have all the aroma precursors in the grapes turning into aromas and flavors. So then we can capture all the aromas of the wine and then remove it to create a dealcoholized or no alcohol product. And what is really important, that we need to have the optimum ripeness. Picking early to decrease the alcohol level is an option, but especially with the red wines, if we pick early, we don't have the optimum ripeness, the physiological ripeness, so then we may end up with very harsh tannins. With the whites also, as early we pick, then we will have higher levels of malic acid, and it's going to be more difficult to adjust. And the wine needs to be stable, especially protein stable. Then we go through a physical removal of alcohol. I'm not again going into very detail here. Then I can answer any questions towards the end. Basically, we are talking about two main methods of removing alcohol in big category. There's reverse osmosis. This can be coupled with membranes or distillation. And then we have a vacuum distillation. And under vacuum distillation, there are several different methods, but the two important ones is column with retaining cones. It's a spinning cone column. And also there is vacuum distillation. And in BevZero, we use a vacuum distillation. And next year, sorry, not next year, I was saying this last year for this year. In the end of this month, we are launching a new equipment. It's called ClearAlc. So it's going to be the next generation in the dealcoholization. So reverse osmosis is amazing if we are talking about alcohol adjustment, 1 degree, 2 degree. But if you want to go lower than that, then we need to use a vacuum distillation method. And on the other hand, as we are going through water being scarcity, if reverse osmosis is also having a lot of water waste, so it is not a really sustainable method in the long run. So here we have two equipments. On the right side, it is the low temperature vacuum distillation column, and on the left side is the spinning cone column. Just to give you a quick idea of like what it really looks like, I'm just gonna play a 30-second video so then you can see the equipment. This is from our Spanish facility. So this is not really very sexy, but this is the reality. So with this equipment, we are able to separate in one pass 3 fractions. We can separate the aromas, we can separate the dealcoholized fraction, and then we can obtain the alcohol, and it's rectified and it goes up to 85%. I get so many questions of like asking what happens to that alcohol. That alcohol is a very high quality alcohol, and it is used by distilleries in the making of brandy, vodka, fortified wines, fortification, the alcohol for the fortification. Yeah, here, this is like the small graph of the equipment itself, the 3 columns. In one column, we separate the aromas, essence. In the other column, alcohol, and then the last column is for the rectification. So after that, once we dealcoholize the wine, it's not ready to consume because so many things happen during the dealcoholization and we need to do adjustments. And when we dealcoholize, we remove the alcohol, obviously very important portion, but then the acidity, pH, the tannin concentration changes, the body changes, and then we separate the aromas, obviously. So then we need to do adjustments. This is a bit technical, but just for you to quickly to understand, this is the alcoholization that we did last year with an Alvarinho from Galicia. I was last Friday in Galicia doing a masterclass for Diorias Baixas. So that's why we used an Alvarinho from the region, from one of the very important producers. The alcohol level of this column is the starting alcohol, 12.7. ABV, and then we created a low alcohol Albarino 6%, and then we created a 0.5%. So if you can pay attention here, as the alcohol levels decrease, what happens is the pH decreases, but then the acidity increases. And then if there's any volatile acidity, this increases as well. So the incoming wine needs to be very good quality, free of faults, because if there's any fault, they're going to increase. And also to avoid using lots of ingredients to adjust it, we need to choose accordingly the acidity, the pH parameters of the product. And also in the end, if you can pay attention, the sulfur levels decrease, total sulfur and free sulfur levels decrease. And this product, because there's no alcohol and the free sulfur is basically disappearing, it is very fragile and needs to be really handled in very sterile conditions. So with all this know-how, now that we have different equipments, the improving the equipments and the adjustments, now we are seeing a change from older generations of non-alcoholic wines towards new generation of non-alcoholic wines. 5 years ago, if you had paid attention, the back labels of the non-alcoholic wines, they had so much levels of sugar because the technology was not good enough to dealcoholize, or the wine base was not really paid attention. So any wine that a producer cannot sell, they were dealcoholizing without paying attention to the parameters. So to adjust it, the only option is back then was adding lots of sugar. Today there are still so many products with lots of sugar, but sugar levels are decreasing. In our company, we don't rely on sugar, because on the other hand, in the end, if we are talking about alcohol being not good for health and we're talking about moderation of the alcohol, if we are having a product with lots of sugar, this is not healthy either. So at the moment, it is very important there's an understanding or increasing understanding of high quality base wine, and also we are focusing on more, small destinations, vineyard destinations, and different varietals and vintages. Today, we can have vintage and varietal certification as well with those products in Europe. And more is going towards wine profile rather than just fruit juices. And before we were just seeing, entry level wines, but now we are seeing upscale branding and packaging. And again, education is increasing. I would like to say thanks to WSET again to including this important topic in the diploma. Okay, and then after this, after the adjustments and stabilization, we are going to either bottle or bulk. We can ship it bulk. As this product is very fragile, bulk shipment needs to be very controlled in controlled temperatures and not long distance. The farthest distance that we shipped is 10-day journey, and it arrived in perfect condition. But again, the shorter journey is better. Otherwise, it should be bottled right after the dealcoholization. Um, I will quickly talk about very briefly of the sustainability of this topic, environmental sustainability, and then economic, financial sustainability. Because when we say sustainability, we always focus on the environmental aspect, but sustainability is not only environmental, it is social equity and also economic development. And dealcoholization, as we see, we are going through a physical process, and it's not sustainable process. However, or it's not, sorry, it's not a sustainable, not, it's not a very environmental process because there's lots of electric consumption and power consumption, but we can make it more environmental. So a few examples, for example, Torres, Familia Torres is the pioneer with the Natureo, which was launched in 2008. They are getting all their power from solar panels, and they have system to capture carbon footprint, carbon dioxide production, and they're almost offsetting their carbon footprint. On the other hand, Edenvale is an Australian winery. They use the low temperature vacuum distillation technology featuring a heat pump, so they don't use a boiler or chillers, so then they can halve their energy use. And also in BevZero, what we do is we also have the solar panels. This is our facility from Spain. Almost all the energy is coming from solar panels, 83% of our total annual consumption. So there are methods to do this process sustainable. There's more and more awareness in that, and hopefully, globally, we will reach to this awareness too. So last part of the presentation is the opportunities in the wine industry. And again, let's focus on the sustainability, the social and economic sustainability for a second. As we see in the beginning, wine industry is going through difficult times. The consumption is decreasing. To be able to have the sustainability in the wine industry, we need to find ways to reach newer consumers, to create more awareness so that our businesses can be financially sustainable, but also can focus on the social equity. And as there's a huge consumer base that they're not drinking alcohol, I think in the wine industry somehow it's our duty to reach those consumers as well. So a few examples in the trade. These pictures are from Systembolaget in Sweden, the monopoly. As you see, there is the alcohol-free dedicated section, but also what we also see in some retailers, they have the alcohol-free section, but also they're having non-alcoholic or dealcoholized wine in the wine section as well to reach two different consumer type. The club soda, most probably many of you know, founded by fantastic Laura Willoughby, based in UK. Club soda is a mindful drinking. It started as a drinking movement 10 years ago, but they have a physical tasting room in Covent Garden in London. They're focused on no and low. And here's again from London, Lucky Saint. Lucky Saint is if not the one of the pioneers of the non-alcoholic beers. I was in a panel on Monday with the GM, the general director of Lucky Saint, Emma Hill, fantastic powerhouse woman. And they have alcohol-free section in their menu, but they also cater to all the consumers. They have alcohol, normal strength alcohol drinks, low alcohol, and alcohol-free. And also increasing opportunity is the wine tourism. The other day I was doing a quick search on Google and saw so many requests or comments in TripAdvisor, Google, Yelp, about like saying I am invited to bachelorette party. It's a wine tasting, but I'm not drinking. Or I want to celebrate my husband's birthday in a winery who's into wine, but I don't drink. What do I do? So there's so many at the moment, so many consumers. They do wine trips, but it's not because they drink wine, because they like the experience. They want to be in the countryside, see the wines, the vineyards. So if we can offer them a non-alcoholic option, then here we can have more opportunity at the cellar door as well. A few examples: Darling Cellars from South Africa, Storm Cellar from Colorado, US, and the winery, which I cannot pronounce their name, in Germany, Wein und Sektgut Wilhelmshof. I hope it was okay. Sorry for any Germans watching this. So this is an increasing opportunity, and also it's not about wine anymore. It's wine and food pairings, and there's a huge gastronomic opportunity at the cellar door as well. So we can try to capture it. So what are we seeing now? I call this slide as blurred lines and multi-category, because again, as in the beginning, we saw 43% of the consumers are substitutes, occasion-based consumers. It's not only about wine or beer or soft drinks or spirits, like this very strict definitions, the category definitions. It's about consumption, and the consumer is looking for a very dynamic opportunities. So we see different formats, different types of products, like in wine bottles, very similar to wine, but also, for example, and the fifth one, it's like a beer bottle, groovy, dry secco, but it's a dealcoholized wine-based product. We see cans, and then we see here cannabis-infused Sauvignon Blanc. And it's a functional category, it's a total different new subcategory as well, which is increasing significantly. A few successful examples before I finished my presentation. Unwind, it's from Washington Valley, in Cairns. Zeno is a UK brand. And if you're looking for de-alcoholized red, which is very close to wine, I think it's the best red ever. They all not only have red, but my favorite is their red. So they are focusing from vineyard to the glass strategy, but in different formats, bottle or can. And here, this is the Darling Cellars that I showed in the previous slide. They have a Chenin Blanc, but from the same Chenin Blanc, they do normal strength, 5.5% and 0%. And another example, Sovi, it's from US California. We're talking about a vintage Chenin Blanc sourced from a single vineyard, and this is a $34 bottle. And Oceano, again from California, 2022 Pinot Noir, in this example, again, vintage and variety certified. And this is a $50 bottle. And here, La Rassi, it's a very a new brand. It's launched in US, but it's entering to the UK market and Europe soon. And this is all about lifestyle, very premium, and it's a brut Chardonnay sparkling wine, dealcoholized wine. Watch out for this brand as well. And this is a $70 per bottle brand. So we're seeing about from €7 or dollars up to 70 or 100. And if you know maybe French Bloom, who was recently invested by LVMH, they also have a prestige cuvée around €100 per bottle. And we also see lots of celebrities entering to the space. Dwayne Johnson, Katy Perry, Blake Lively, Bella Hadid. So many celebrities are also exploring the space, and it also shows an increase in the category. And we see again a Danish brand, Ish. Their motto is mindful drinking, but also they say everyone deserves a drink. So that's why in their brand they are serving or catering to many different consumer profiles with their non-alcoholic and dealcoholized wines, gin, or spirits, rum type of drinks. And I really agree with them. I think everyone deserves a drink. So as in the wine industry, not sometimes, many times the obstacles are the wine buyers and the sommeliers. But I think, again, we should be paying attention to what the consumer wants and then offering those examples to them. So I am very good on time. Just before we have 15 minutes for the Q&A, but just before that, I would like to finish the presentation with a little trivia. I'm gonna play a song, and I would like you to, if you remember the original version and the singer of the song, if you can write it on the chat box, it will be great. So let's hear like 30 seconds of the song.
I just can't get you out of my head. Oh, your love is all I think about. I just can't get you out of my head. And it's more than I dare to think about. I just can't get you out of my head. Oh, your loving is all I think about. Every night, every day, just to be there in your arms. Won't you stay? Won't you?
Great. Yes, I am seeing so many of you recognize the song. Kylie Minogue, Can't Get You Out of My Head. Actually, I'm so happy that you recognize, because I also teach in a business school for bachelorate degree, and they are at the age of like between 22 and 25. And when I ask this, most of the time nobody recognizes. So I feel really old. So thank you for not making me feel like that today. And I see that Mathilde was saying second versions are sometimes better. Actually, to be honest with you, I love this version much better than the original one. It's not that the original one is not good, but it's kind of, this version appeals more to my taste. So if you may remember, the story of this cover is, it was in 2011, if I'm not mistaken, or 12, Lee Glasson, a gentleman, 31 years old from Manchester, working in the insurance, participated the Voice UK, and then he participated with his own cover, this version, and then Kylie Minogue was one of the jury members. So he was quite brave with this move when Kylie Minogue was in the jury. Why did he do that? He did it because his version was better. No, not necessarily. He didn't do it because his version was better or worse. He did it because it was different and he wanted to show a different expression. And at the moment, non-alcoholic or dealcoholized wines or beverage, it's not better or worse than the original or the original wines, but it's different and it caters to different type of consumer. So just quick key takeaways from my presentation. No and low alcohol wine is an opportunity, and I think it's an exciting part of the wine's future. It's not a trend anymore. It's a category. It's here to stay, and there's a market out there. And there are different methods for different outcomes, and there's non-stop R&D in the space. Just watch out the space, and wine industry can fight it or join in the category. So thank you so much for your attention. And now I am leaving you the floor, Sophie, for the Q&A.
Thank you. Thank you for giving us a really, really insightful presentation. I must say, your point about not going too technical, that is by far the base of most of our questions, if that's okay. Lots of technical ones and some commercial awareness ones as well. But to start, I thought that was a really light-hearted, brilliant one. What are your thoughts on a new term for professionals working in this sector? And the phrase given is sommelier.
Oh, so really, yeah. Actually, I have never heard of it before. Amazing. I learned something new today. So
I
really,
thought it was,
wow,
yeah.
it's brilliant. I'm gonna make a note of it. I like it. I like it. I mean, we're talking about sober, curious moments, so why don't we have a sobriety, right? I love it. Thank you.
Absolutely. Okay, and I'm just going to go through our chat now and reveal some questions. So forgive me if I don't get to yours. But the first one is based on your section one. Why is there a decreased demand for alcohol? Can it be linked to like demographics and geographies, or a particular one overall?
Yeah, so I think in the beginning, what I was trying to explain with this different reasons of that why there's a demand in the decrease in the alcohol, but also yes, there's geographic reasons as well. There are different countries or regions that they are not consuming alcohol necessarily, but it is at the moment it is not only geographic or consumer demographic type. Generally, we have a decline in the consumption of the alcohol for various reasons that I mentioned in the beginning.
Hmm. Thank you. And do you think from the next section for kind of regulatory and legislation purposes, do you think it is a possibility that there will be a global consensus on terminology?
I think yes, it will be because there's more. I mean, there's a huge confusion at the moment, and different countries are having different regulations, and brand owners are struggling a lot with their activities. I think if not 10 years, or if not 5 years, maybe in 10 years we're gonna see it. But I think we're gonna get there. There's gonna be global legislations, maybe not global, but now at the moment what we have is old world wine legislations and new world. So maybe we will have differences as well, but have more complete legislations, I would say.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And just following on from that question, what do you think is the biggest challenge for us to get there?
You mean the legislations?
Yeah, to get a unified
Yeah.
approach.
I think the biggest challenge is the lack of education and lack of awareness because this is very new and if we don't know really how the process works or how we make these products, it's very difficult to come to a global legislation. And for example, there are ingredients are banned by some countries, but sometimes there's no other way to create this product without using that ingredient. So unless there is an alternative. So I think it's the biggest challenge is the lack of education and awareness.
Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you. Now, moving on to process and technical. I've tried to summarize a lot of the same questions, so hopefully I do it justice for everyone. One question was, can you go through the process of dealcoholization for young wines and old wines? Would you?
Yeah, actually, it's a very good question. And as there's more and more data available, and we do more and more experiments and trials, young wines and the more aged wines, they give different results. But it's not only being young or aged, different varieties give different results as well. So very important is what is the outcome, what we expect. So what we suggest to the winemakers is doing a reverse engineering. So if you know what kind of product you want to create, and it depends again of your different markets and different consumer profile, from this final product, doing a reverse engineering and then going to the incoming wine that you need. This may be a young wine or this may be an aged wine. With the young wines, obviously, if you are looking for a fresh and easy drinking profile, then younger wines are used. But if you're looking for a more complex, a more interesting and higher body, maybe we may use and more aged wines, but not necessarily long time of aging, but it's some lees contact, some lees aging, some botonnage gives really good result with the palate. But the way we dealcoholize is the same. Either as a young or an aged wine, we dealcoholize through let's say spinning cone column or vacuum distillation, and we separate the fractions. If it is young, the fraction, the aroma fraction that we are going to get is going to be more primary focus. But if it is more aged, then the aroma fraction that we are going to get is maybe more primary, secondary, and tertiary focus. So then it will give us more room to play with the final profile.
Thank you. Thank you. That's really interesting. We have a question on temperatures. So on your slide about vacuum distillation, what is the lowest temperature you can use? I guess the range that you would be optimum.
So there is, I think, I mean, another also challenge, what you were also asking before, what is the challenge of the not we are having a global legislations, and also a challenge in this aspect as well. At the moment, unfortunately, there is not enough transparency, and it's a lot of marketing, and different people, different producers say different things. But I mean, I hear that low temperature as 20 degrees, 25 degrees. From our experience, we are a 30-year-old company doing this. Started with spinning cone column, and 2014, we moved to low temperature vacuum distillation. And when we say low temperature, 2025 is not possible because what happens there, we separate the alcohol and the rest through the molecular segregation based on the boiling points of alcohol and water. Boiling point of alcohol is 78 degrees. However, we don't go up to 78 because it's a completely vacuum system under 9 bars. So that's why the alcohol boiling point is getting much less. But it is very difficult to separate that below 40 Celsius. But when we expose the product to 40 Celsius, it doesn't mean that it stays in 40 Celsius during the whole process. It is like a flash increase in the highest temperature, and normally 1 liter of wine stays there for 1 second with the technology that we use. So it doesn't really affect the profile. But there are other technologies that they don't have that short stay time. So then we find some cooked aromas and cereal notes in the dealcoholized wines. It is quite common, unfortunately. But yeah, lowest temperature from experience is 40 Celsius, 40, 45 to separate the alcohol from the rest.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for a detailed explanation. Lots of questions similarly worded for, is there a replacement for body and mouthfeel in a wine apart from sugar?
Yes. So with the sugar, there are different types of sugars, but the most common, I mean, the cheap for more economic form is crystallized sugars or industrial sugar, but more sophisticated form is rectified grape must. But also to lower the sugar, two important things, and actually three important things. If we choose the base wine accordingly, we don't really need so many ingredients to adjust it. We can really adjust it without almost not much addition of sugar. And also the alcoholization method and how you handle it is very important. But also with the adjustment, there are so many winemaking ingredients that can be used to adjust and to give body and mouth feel. Some, for example, monoproteins, especially with the reds, it rounds the tannins, or gamma arabic. And also there's another ingredient which is used quite a lot, glycerol, but glycerin is not allowed in winemaking. So if you use glycerin, then you cannot call the product dealcoholized wine. But yes, there are winemaking ingredients to give more body rather than using only sugar.
Thank you. That's so interesting. That answer there has answered about 10 questions. So thank you. What is we've got probably time for two more. What is the price point for no and low wines? Like more than what you'd expect, less?
Yeah, so just to, I mean, obviously, we just need to understand two important things for the price point. to get to a no alcohol or dealcoholized or low alcohol wine, first we need to make the wine. So we will have the same cost of wine, regular wine, and then it goes through a different process of dealcoholization. It adds added costs. And if you're working with a service center, then you need to ship your wine to service center. It has extra logistical costs, but also when you remove the alcohol, that percentage is lost from the entire volume. So there's a yield loss. So then you end up with less wine than you started with. So this increases the cost as well. And bottling dealcoholized wine is a very care needed job, and normally it's more expensive than bottling a regular wine. So those increases the cost of the dealcoholized wine versus normal wines. However, there's also, because there's no alcohol in many countries, it's exempt alcohol duty. So that's why there's also you can make up with the high costs of the alcoholization as well. Just a
Thank
second,
you.
sorry.
Thank you. Thank you. I promised 2 questions, so I'll squeeze one more in if that's okay.
Yes.
Um, do you think producers in the future can compete in the premium space?
Yes, I think. I mean, but there's room for improvement there. I don't think with the wine we are there yet, because it's also more challenging to create a higher quality or similar product. But I think with the know-how and the education and more experience and more data, I think we're gonna get there. We're gonna have more and more premium products with the wine in the wine segment as well.
Amazing. Irem, thank you so much for your talk and for answering lots of our questions. Thank you very much. Thank you to everybody for watching. If you could please complete the feedback poll on your screen, we'd so appreciate it. The recording of this session will be emailed to everybody, as well as being available on our WSET Global Events Hub on our YouTube page. And lastly, to find out more and sign up for WSET qualifications, please visit our Where to Study page at wsetglobal.com. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you.
Thank you.